And it will be posted on the website, but just give Sheena some time to get that on. Just remind everybody to be on mute when we're not speaking, just so there's so many people and to outside noise. I want to remind you to use the chat box during any of the questions you may have related to the topics that are being talked at, and that will be a monitored chat box. And if you have any questions during the presentation or participation that might be happening, we can use the reaction button at the bottom. It's on the bottom of my screen on the right-hand side to raise your voice, to raise your hand. Our presentation will be from our District 4 United Nations Committee. And we have our guest speaker is the Zonta International United Nations Chairperson Pamela Morgan is with us today. I will hand it over to Nita McCowan, who is the District 4 Committee Chair, and she will introduce her committee and our Zonta International Chairperson, Pamela Morgan. So take it away, Nita.
Thank you. Thank you, ladies and any gentlemen that are online for joining us on a Monday night. I do want to thank Pamela for being with us and introduce her. Pamela Morgan is the International United Nations Chair, and she is going to be participating in the Q&A at the end of this session because she knows everything about the United Nations and Zonta. She's that chief person. So Pamela, thank you very much, and we'll be speaking to you later. Now, my committee is made up of 2 Americans and 2 Canadians. Kathy Sickerman from Cheektowaga, Lancaster, Guy Marlette from Amherst. We have our gentleman on our committee. Lisa Lumley is from Toronto, and Urs here is from Brampton, Caledon. So that is the committee. Now, what I would ask is, if Janice mentioned the chat box, if you have questions as we go along, try to write them in the chat box so that we can deal with them at the end, unless you think it's really important that we do it at that time, because this is a lot of information to cover and we're quite frankly not going to be covering it all. So thank you again. And I know everybody, absolutely everybody on this Zoom has been into the D4 website so many times that you know it backwards and forwards. But just in case there's somebody who hasn't been on, I'm going to turn this over to Sheena, and she is going to tell us how to come around. Now, just so you know, because we're Zooming like this, sometimes it takes a few minutes for the slide to come clear. This is quite blurry, Sheena.
Well, hopefully it will settle in. So are you ready, Nita?
Go ahead, it's fine now.
All right, thanks. Thanks, ladies. So Nita has been gracious enough to give me a couple of seconds here to just give you a brief overview of our website, our district website. So this website has been designed for all of our members and our clubs to use. And as a resource. It is not, I don't have any huge SEO. So for search engine optimization, meaning it's going to be high on a Google search, this is for our clubs and trying to keep it as quiet as possible. Anybody who's coming into our district wanting information about clubs, they're going to go to a club website, their social media page, or Zonta International. So at the top of the page, you will see Zonta International as well as my Zonta. You all should know how to get there. Those will take you a direct link into those areas. As well as on your left-hand side, on a device or a mobile device, you will see 2 tabs, or they're called hamburgers. There will be a yellow one on your left and a burgundy one on your right, and those are drop-down menus that you can access the different screens with the web pages within our website. So at any point in time, if you want to click on the D4 logo, you will come back to this home page. On the home page is a little piece about Janice. She can go to her post that she does pretty much monthly. Also, what is happening in our district, any kind of cool highlights that we have coming in, I'll try to post up to here. And then at the bottom are our posts. These posts are information that clubs send into our communication team, and that I can create a post that will go on here. It will also come on your the area for our clubs within our website. And if it's relating to service or advocacy, it will pop up on that committee page as well. So feel free to send in content about what your club is doing, because what we're trying to really do this biennium is to share content. We do not want to reinvent the wheel. So if something, you have a cool idea for a fundraiser or a project, please let us know. So as you will see on the left-hand side is our main menu. Sometimes you see it at the top. I selected to put it on the left-hand side. On any of these, if you want to go over, you will scroll over to our governing body. You will see information about our Zonta International Board, our district board, the information about who's doing what, their connections, emails, and a password protected area for a district elected officers. Below that is building our clubs. Under this tab, you will find area club information based on each area, the clubs within it, and usually the posts that are related to that area or the clubs within the area will also pop up. We have club business. The club business I will bring up. It will take a second, but this is information that you will probably need for your club. Things like our governing documents. And I'm going to just do this quickly. Manuals, things that we have developed at district, our treasurer guide, secretary's guide. Down further, our forms and templates, things like structure of Zonta clubs. If you need help with your treasurer needs help having a worksheet, policies, resources, and some information that came out from our District 4 conference, such as our rules of procedure. So again, if you want to come back up here, you will see the next thing on our building our clubs is our committee resources, which I'll be taking you to in a few moments. And at the bottom is Shop D4. Shop D4 is if you sell products in your club and you want to have it posted on here, this is an area where you can go in at a later time, check it out, but you can post your item and the person you need to contact who's going to sell that product. Engaging in Zonta. This is where we post things like what we're doing tonight. Calendar of what's happening in our district, the books and beverages, our D4 online sessions, which is what we're doing tonight. You will see links to our D4 learning, D4 talks. New is our D4 training and the registration. So right now we have the D4 talk registration for service, which is coming up on February 22nd. Looking to your club beyond is Governor Janice brings up usually monthly a highlight of 2 or 3 of our district clubs, as well as 2 or 3 of our Zonta International districts. So you can get an idea of what's going on beyond your club. And then events, you will come in to be able to take a look at our information about our upcoming workshop, the North American Interdistrict Meeting or NATM, as well as our District 4 conference. Though the information for those events will be posted through this area. At the end here, we have promoting Zonta back to the left. We have news and updates is basically what's happening on the front page, but just brings it back for a later time. Applause Please is recognizing some of our award-winning students, things like that. Educational awards, so should anybody want to come in and find out about some awards that we are offering through district, that's where that will be. So the JMK, the WIT, the Amelia Earhart, and the, I know there's one more, there's 4 of them.
YWPA.
Why, thank you very much. And our district media kit. And finally, about us. So just again, I'll just come back up here to building our clubs. So if you come down here to committee resources and click on that, you're going to be able to view all of our standing committees that we have in District 4. If you hover over them, you will also see an email to contact the chairperson of that committee, as well as the resources. So anywhere you want to click on anywhere in the area, you will pop up to that, that committee. So right now, we're taking you to the UN. So this is Nita and her committee's webpage. And all of the other committees are pretty much designed the same way, where you'll see a major landing page and some major key areas that you'll want to go into, which there will be more information. So at this time, I'm going to pass it back to Nita and say thank you very much for allowing me a few moments to talk about the website. And we will now continue with the UN presentation. Nita?
Thank you very much. And before we go forward, I would like to thank Sheena for all the hard work she has done, not only with my committee, but with the site in general. And what we're showing you tonight was a lot of work from the committee and even more work from Sheena. So Sheena, thank you very much for everything.
If nothing else in Zonta, it means you can learn something.
Yes. Okay. Now, this module, the UN site, has been designed to teach you a little bit about the history of the UN, about Zonta's history with the UN, and what is happening now. And we've wanted to put something together so that you can utilize it yourself or at your clubs. So this is a little blurry here, but basically what it says is you can take pieces of this site and show it at your club. I know that Hamilton often showed a video of one of the international service projects so that the people our members are upfront and knowing exactly what's happening. We when we are talking to potential members, one of the things that we often boast about is our relationship with the United Nations. And then it stops. We don't talk about it anymore. And our club members really don't know what we're doing. They don't know what they can do at the clubs. This whole site is designed so that you can take a small item and show it, or say in October for International United Nations Day, you could build a bigger one. And the committee and myself are still available to help you in any way that you want. We can help you build a program. We can be on one of your Zoom meetings if you like. But we're here for you, but this has been designed so that you can let your fingers do the walking. And just learn more about the United Nations. Is that the tour? Yes. Sheena?
The
learn more about the United Nations?
Oh, that takes you to the webpage, the UN webpage.
The UN webpage. Okay, so we're going to show a short video here that explains what the UN is. And this is something you can show at your club. Thank you. So that was only like a minute, just under 2 minutes, I think. So that's why I say you can show some of these things at your club. Now, you're going to see on this site different modules. We're going to take a look at Zonta and UN history. If you click on that, and again, when they first come up, they might be a little blurry, but they aren't if you're looking at it on your own computer or if you would be doing it. Now, just if you roll up a little bit, there is a historical video of when they were coming together in the United Nations in 1945 to sign the documents. And it again is about 3 minutes long. You could show that, or you could show it in tandem with the one we just saw. Now, I'm just going to mention too that the United Nations was founded in 1945, and President Truman appointed Eleanor Roosevelt to be the U.S. Appointee to the United Nations. So women have had a seat at the table since the very beginning of the United Nations. Now, it was the charter that was signed. I believe it was signed by 51 countries or that were signatory to it. But this is the charter of the United Nations. And if you go down to the next slide, Sheena, please. In 1946, Zonta put a statement that said the United Nations is the best existing machinery for establishing conditions under which peace and social justice can prosper. So we have had a relationship with Zonta with the United Nations since 1946 in some way. Okay, would you go down? Yes. Now, as you go along through this, and we're just going to skim this a little, this is about different things that happened when declarations were put forward or signed. And you can scroll this on your own time to see exactly what's here. But again, this is a PowerPoint, I think, that you could show at your clubs. Okay, let's go back up to the top, Sheena. Yeah. We're going to understanding the United Nations. Sorry, it's a little blurry. Again, this is a PowerPoint presentation that you can use at your club. It tells about Zonta and the UN. Could you scroll down just a little bit so we can have a look at what's there? There's Zonta's mission statement and the Zonta and United Nations. This is the Zonta International Bylaws that talk about fostering ethics. This is the Charter of the UN. And down a little bit more, Sheena, please. Okay. So why should Zontans care about the UN? Okay, because I missed that slide. I'm sorry. If you go up one, Sheena. I haven't memorized the whole thing. Okay, here we go. It was originally 51 member states. It's now about 193. So there are different organs in the United Nations, but only the Security Council has the power to make decisions that member states are then obligated to implement under the charter. But go down now, another one, Sheena. We always say that there's remember 6. There are 6 official languages, 6 main organs, and 6 committees of the General Assembly. And for some reason, if it was an emergency and you wanted to call UN, there's the number. Okay, go down again, Sheena. So those are the official languages. And if you're in there, you can see that everybody has their headsets on and things are being translated in real time. Now, these are the 6 main organs of the UN. The General Assembly, the Security Council, the Secretariat, the Trusteeship Council, the International Court of Justice is in The Hague, and then the Economic and Social Council. All these are the main organs of the UN. And if you scroll down further, there will be a description of what each one is. Like the General Assembly, 1 country, 1 vote. So if you go down again further, please. These are the 6 main committees of the General Assembly. It says the 3rd committee is of no interest to most NGOs. So what's that, social? Oh, it's of interest. I'm sorry. I'm losing it. Okay, down again, Sheena, please. Now, the Security Council has 15 members. And we need to update this. These are not correct at the moment. But it's quite unique because the presidency of the council, everybody takes a turn for 1 month. So they all just get up and move their seats so that the whoever is the president is in that one seat. So once a month, and it's done in alphabetical order so that nobody's nose can get out of joint because somebody gets preferential treatment. And you can go on and there's a link to learn more about the Security Council. Okay, Sheena, down one more, please. And this is a description of what the Security Council does. It's to preserve peace. It addresses peacekeeping and terrorism. And then they nominate the Secretary General. So let's go down one more. This is who the UN Secretariat is right now. And there we go. Then there's a secretariat there. The secretariat is it's just a tall office building, and that's the headquarters is in New York, but they also have offices in Geneva, Nairobi, and Vienna. And they support the work of the regional offices and that are around the world. Okay, and then if you go down, we're not going to go through each and every one of these because you can take time to go through it, show some of these at your club and learn more, but it just goes down and talks about the 6 main organs and what they do. Okay, let's go back up to the top and take a look at the international programs. Now, I think it's over on another one. Yeah, okay. This is probably of interest to most Zontans. Our international programs are run in conjunction with the United Nations. Our association with the United Nations is the backbone of our international service. They have infrastructure, feet on the ground to put these programs forward, and we are there with financial support and support in any other ways. Now, these are videos of our current international projects. Some of them are about 6 minutes long, some might be 12 minutes long, but you can show these at your club individually. Now, how's our timing? We're doing good. If you click on Let Us Learn Madagascar, for instance, we won't watch the whole thing through. Madagascar is one of the poorest countries in the world. And
Hello, everyone.
We've been
My name is Mansi
supporting
Mehta,
their
and I'm the Assistant Director of Global Cause Partnerships at UNICEF USA. I'd like to begin just by wishing you all good health and safety. UNICEF USA is grateful that despite the current situation, we are still able to connect with all of you in this way. As you will hear in the presentation, the fight for gender equity.
So I'm going to stop it here, Sheena. If you would go forward a little bit on that, Sheena, so that we can pick up where there might be a little more. Each of these videos has an introduction from somebody from the UN committee. That is not our UN committee, but that's
poverty and education are, of course, deeply connected.
Yeah.
Most parents of out-of-school children report that they do not have the money to send their children to school. But there are other underlying factors that also keep children in Madagascar out of the classroom. Some children don't have a school in their community, and the distance they have to travel to the nearest school is too far. Teacher absenteeism is a common challenge. In some cases, parents may keep their children home because the quality of an education in their community is so poor. We also know that girls in Madagascar face some of the greatest barriers in accessing an education, including violence on their way to school and in school, as well as child marriage and early pregnancy. Currently, only 49% of girls transition from primary to lower secondary school, and less than half of these girls complete their secondary education. In 2011, UNICEF launched Let Us Learn to address many of the barriers facing children, and girls in particular. For several years, Zonta has generously supported this program in Madagascar, and in doing so has helped to achieve gender parity in some of the most vulnerable regions of the country. We often hear the phrase that Let Us Learn is a game changer for girls. This is because of the multiplier effect of girls' education. We know that girls who receive an education are less likely to marry young, and they're more likely to lead healthy and productive lives. They earn higher incomes, they participate in the decisions that most affect them, and build better futures for themselves, their families, and their communities. Well, gender parity.
Okay, let's stop it there, Sheena, please. I just wanted to give you an idea of what is on these videos so that you can show them at your clubs. And there's one each for all of our international programs. And there is, it isn't posted here yet, but there is a script that will allow you, if you're showing them in your club, to tell what the program is, why they're doing it, how much money we're putting into it. So it's only about 2 paragraphs for each one, but it's an introduction that you can use at your clubs to let them know why we are doing this. Now, I took a look at the questions when people registered. There was, you could put a question or what did you want to learn, and this area was one of the areas that people wanted to know the most about. So take the time to go in, take a look at these videos. You don't have to sit down and watch them all at once, but these are things you can show at your clubs. We want you to be able to take information from this site back to your clubs for programming. Okay. Now, all of our programs on the international level, we deal with different aspects of the UN. It could be UN Women, it could be UNIFEM, it could be UNICEF. Let Us Learn Madagascar is a program with UNICEF, and we have had an association with UNICEF for 48 years. So this is not something new to Zonta. This is a long time partnership, and it will continue for a long time to come. So it's important that you let our members know what's going on. Okay, let's go back up.
Sorry, ladies.
Now, in these international programs, Zonta has contributed over $32.7 million to the kinds of programs that for women that improve women's health, education, and economic opportunities, and to work against gender-based violence. So this is really the heart of what we do internationally in our service. So that's important that our members get to see that. So, oh, hello.
Sorry about that, ladies. I have to. There we go.
We're going to go and visit the UN. The UN is closed now because it's not open to the public due to COVID, of course. Now, you'll see these modules here, and all of these are going to be in a continual state of being updated. Nothing is static. Things will change. We will update them. You will see that there is a COVID-19 and women module, and I sincerely hope that it won't be too long before we'll be able to take that off of this site. Now, in 2019, we visited the UN. Margaret Gear and Nancy Peacock, who were then UN chairs, did a fantastic job. It was sort of the last minute, but I was there. No, Urs didn't. Lisa, you visited the UN. Kathy has, I have, and Urs has done CSW. So the committee has really been, can really speak to what we saw. So if you click on visiting the United Nations, I'll just show you what might be under there. This is the report that Nancy and Margaret did following. You can click on it and you'll see our bright shiny faces standing outside in the cold. There we are. So this was our tour. If you have a chance to visit the UN, hopefully we'll get to do this again in perhaps 2022. It's in conjunction with the League of Women Voters of New York. There we are. There's Kathy and Nancy, and I'm over in the corner, and there's Marie, and sound like the romper room. I see you. It included a lunch in the members' dining room, and we did have a. This is Omar Hernandez. He did a talk on climate change, and then we also had a wonderful talk by. Next slide down, please, Gina. Oh, there's the same, there's pictures throughout, sorry. here we are. And we got to go into all of the different halls and sit in the chairs. And now this is Mr. Tripathi. And he gave an absolutely fantastic talk on climate change and what we can do. And it was really worthwhile. So as I said, if you have a chance to go, please do try. But in the absence of that, and you can go on and read it. Can we go back up again to the module? Because we've put a link here. Where did it go? Oh, I think you have to go back to yeah. We have put a link to United Nations tours right here. And they offer a number of tours. There's one on architecture, one seeing the building. The tours are $10 or $8 for seniors. And if you had a group of 20 to 30 people, then it's $200. So you can sign up. The tours are given, certain ones are given on Wednesdays and Fridays, and another tour is given on Tuesdays and Thursdays. So you go in and select when you want it, and it's a guided tour that's about an hour long. So even though we can't be there in person, you can take a guided tour of the UN, and you'll see what you'll see when you get to go. If we go over to UN days, this is not a complete list of all the UN international days. It is a list of days that we felt would be of interest to Zontans. So there is a description of the day and a link to the UN site so you can get more information. So it goes by the month. And this is so that you can help with programming. If you go through here, you might decide that, well, we all know in March it's International Women's Day, but they're February. Oh gosh, there's I believe it's International Day to End Trafficking of Persons. And so yeah, so you can go in and get more information. You might want to do a program around it, and it goes right on down so you can see. Now, somebody did ask me what these letters are after where it says World Day of Social Justice. That refers to the when it was put forward to create the day. This is where it is recorded, and the number of whatever that resolution was. And in October, that is International United Nations Day. So that would be an ideal time to have a little bit bigger program on the United Nations. And as I said, we are here to help you with anything that you want to do. We can help you build a small program, a big program, or speak at your clubs, as I mentioned before. So if we go back up to the main site again, go down a bit, please. Let's take a look at let's look at the CSW. CSW is Commission on the Status of Women. Now, they generally meet every year for about a week. There's probably close to 600 different seminars or anything that you could sign up for. This year, it's going to be virtual. Oh, sorry, I was reading what was put on the bottom. You will be able to access it. There is a link here. Now, originally we were going to have to pay $50 to do it, but I believe Pamela said, and Pamela, correct me if I'm wrong, that that has been waived. We won't have to do that. But all of the sessions will be on the UN web TV, on the UN.org, so that you can go in and watch any of them that you want, and they'll be run on a 24/7 basis to accommodate different time slots around the world. So you can also, CSW has I believe it's once a month, on a Wednesday, they have meetings, and you can participate in those as well. So this is all about the status of women, and we're going to talk a little bit more about that later with Pamela. But again, the beauty of this being virtual is that you're not going to have to pay to travel to New York. You're not going to have to pay the cost of hotels and food and everything in New York City, but you will be able to participate in the seminars. So let's go back again, and we're going to take a look at the sustainable goals. Sustainable development goals, these are, I think there's, oh, here we go. So this is a little bit about the sustainable, oh, I'm going to go blind, sorry. Each of these, okay, you can see if you go down, but let's stop so hopefully it'll stop being blurry. If you hover over it, the picture will turn around and it'll describe what that social, what that development goal is. And then if you click on the read more about it, you can learn more about that particular sustainable goal. So again, this is something you could use at your clubs for a small presentation. You could pick one or two, something that may, you might be interested in. I'm having difficulty reading them, but so help educate the children in your community. So there are waste, less wasting food. So you can, as I said, hover on it, it flips over, there's a description, and then you can click on it to learn more. So as I said before, this site has been designed so that you can use it yourself or with your clubs to build programs and take back information about the United Nations. So we are going to go back again. And there is another module called Tools for Clubs. And so this is, there are two other modules that we are not looking at tonight. One was the COVID and the other was something history of women. Anyway, these are from Pamela, and I'm going to show you her presentation later, but these are all PDFs or links that you can go into to find out more about the UN. And there is actually, if you wanted to have a little fun at the club, there is a crossword. So you would have to download it and print it out or however you wanted to do it, but it's to test your knowledge of the UN. So it's not all work, you get to play a little. Have you tried this, anybody? I haven't. I think I'll try it later, but I didn't want to do it first and realize I didn't know anything. I think, speaking of not knowing anything, one of the things that we learned, the five of us, like committee members and myself, is how much we learned putting this together. There was a lot that we didn't know, and we are the committee. So we're hoping that you will use this site to take things back. So can you go back up, Sheena, to, yeah, up further, please. To where, keep going. Oh, yeah, keep going. There was, I think it's on the United Nations and international partners. We decided to do something here at the last minute. If you could click on that. Okay, this right here, this is Pamela's, Pamela did a presentation, and she has a lot of information in there, but with dates and how the committee works and Zonta International. So it's a PowerPoint. It's something that you can use at your club. So if you look here, there's an introduction, an overview, the international service projects that led, and club involvement. And I want to click on club involvement, if you would, please. Because again, when I was reading the questions that people sent in, the majority of people wanted to know what our international projects were. And then they wanted to know what their clubs could do. And there's 2 slides here. Now, some of them may seem like no-brainers. Oh yeah, we're doing them anyway, like participating in the 16 days of activism. And then there's follow the recommendations on the Secretary General's Unite campaign, which is to unite to end violence against women by 2030. And then this is for education. This is CSW. They are an NGO, which is non-governmental organization. And they meet on the 3rd Thursday of each month. And that is their email address. So you could click on it and to attend the meeting. So you're going to learn what CSW is doing. And then forge relationships with local, regional, and federal elected officials. Some clubs are really good at this. I mean, if you want to, Brampton, Caledon, and the E-Club are very good at hunting down the elected officials and getting things done, and have really great relationships with the cities that they're in. So track the implementation of CEDAW in your city, state, and country. We did have a module on CEDAW, but when I took a look at it, it was from Britain. And I know that they're working on CEDAW in the States, and that some of the cities have implemented things. So I decided that we would work on that to get a little bit more local information, and then we'll have a module on CEDAW. Again, share information on sustainable goals with your community. This is something you can also, if you have Z clubs in your area, this is something that might be of interest to Z clubs, and they may, Z clubs can raise a little money, and maybe they want to raise a little money to help put a water well in somewhere. Now in South Africa, Chairperson of the African Union is leading a call for a treaty to end violence against women and girls. Again, you can learn more about that, perhaps have a conversation about it at your clubs. So these are a few things that you can do at the club level. And again, you know, you can build your own presentation. Can we go back up again to the top, please? Okay, we're at about 7:45 now. Just just slide down so we can see the other modules. We're not going to click on them, but the other modules that are there. Keep going, keep going. Okay, so we didn't click on, there's facts, frequently asked questions about Zonta and the UN. Oh, and then there's women and COVID-19 and the history of women's rights. We did not go over these tonight because I was warned that I would get the hook if I went over too much time. So we wanted to have time for questions and answers. And because this is all about you and it's all about your clubs. So we're going to open this up. Pamela, can you unmute yourself, please, so that you can help answer some of these questions?
Yes, Nita, before you go to the Q&A, I'd like to just add a couple of facts. Okay.
Yes. Oh, you just muted yourself.
I'm sorry. In the chat, I just put a link. The UN is now offering virtual tours. They're free. They are 1-hour tours, and anyone can access them. So please, the link is in the chat. Please go to it, and you can have a wonderful virtual tour.
Okay, so I mentioned the virtual tours, Pamela, but they said there was a charge for them. Is this the free thing? Is something new?
This is different. This is
a different tour or different?
This is different from what you were discussing.
Okay.
These are free.
Okay, I'll take a look at it, and if they are, we can replace that module. But
okay. Additionally, I just want to clarify with CSW.
Yes.
The Commission on the Status of Women is a formal UN commission that meets annually, but there are 2 parts. We have the formal UN commission, and then we have NGO CSW, which is the Civil Society Commission for the Status of Women. So the UN, the formal is what you will access on web TV. NGO-CSW is the part of CSW that is going to be 24 hours. Both will be virtual this year. One is formal. You have to sign up. You have to register through Indigo. And Zonta International, Megan is in charge of that. For NGO-CSW, you register yourself. You go to ngocsw.org. You go to the NGO-CSW forum and you register as an advocate. And that is what is free. That was formerly $50. So it's two parts of CSW. One is the formal and the other is the civil society part. And this year we're going to have over 650 sessions with NGO-CSW. And then the third point that I really want you to know is that with the SDGs, the Sustainable Development Goals, Zonta International focuses on SDG number 5, which is about women's empowerment. That is the heart of what it is that we're doing, and all of the others, whether it's poverty or climate change or education, we look at all of those through a gendered lens and how they relate to SDG 5. So if there are any questions, does Zonta have voting rights? Only the member states have voting rights at the UN. Zonta has the ability to make comments. Because we are ECOSOC accredited, we are able to offer written statements and speak at various events.
I should have mentioned that Zonta, sorry, I'm just going to get this something out here. Within there are over 5,500 non-governmental organizations or NGOs with consultative status at the United Nations. Only 141 have general consultative status, the highest status that an NGO can have, the UN. Zonta International was granted this status in 1969. So it allows us to ask questions. We can ask for information, ask to see files, I believe. And so, as I said, out of 5,500, Zonta is one of 141 that have that status. Now, we got any questions in there?
Yeah, so it looks like Connie's asked a question about 2021 being the 75th anniversary of Zonta, Zonta's connection with the UN, and she was asking if there's anything being done to recognize this anniversary.
I think if we were post-COVID, there would be. I think that COVID has caused a delay in many activities that would usually be commemorated. And I think that Zonta's 75th anniversary will not be commemorated as it would have been probably at the dinner that we have at CSW. How many of you have ever been to New York for the CSW dinner and participated in the President's Dinner? So Connie, you know that there's usually a dinner, and if anything is being commemorated, we celebrate it at that dinner. So because of the pandemic and the virtual nature of everything, we will not be able to do that this year.
That doesn't mean that if you were doing, like, say in October when it's International United Nations Day, you could do something within your club, like have a presentation and talk about the fact that it's the 75th anniversary. You know, have a virtual cake.
Absolutely. We are only limited by our imaginations.
That's right. Okay,
I have a question that came from the registration. This one is, what can individual clubs be doing to support Zonta's partnership with the UN?
There are a host of activities that you can do. One is spreading the word about the sustainable development goals. Talk to people about our service projects, raise money for Zonta International service projects, do research on UNICEF, on the UN Population Fund, find out what these organizations are doing and see. I'll give you an example. In District 31, they are actually working with UNICEF in order to achieve certain goals with children in the region, children who are in the refugee camp. So it's really limited by what we are, by our dreams.
thank you.
There is a question. How can we engage members to be more interested in the UN?
That's a wonderful question. And that is what we are trying to solve at this point. Up until I was appointed to lead the UN committee, I was pretty ignorant about the fact that Zontians did not know what Zonta actually did at the UN. I thought everyone knew. And then I was appointed and I was told that this is Zonta's best kept secret. So I would love to talk with people one-on-one so that we could begin to make plans to start slow in different regions on how they see that we can be more effective and that you can work with us in order to help us achieve our goals.
I believe that might have been an answer to this next question, which is somebody's looking for an update on the Zonta activities with UN agencies.
The 4 international service projects we're working with UNICEF, UNFPA on those 4 projects. We're not working with UN Women officially. We have not made any investments into UN Women at this point. However, in the fall, I led a focus group that looked at how to celebrate the 10th anniversary of UN Women. And we had a spoken word contest. We're having a very special concert selection during the first day of CSW, and they call it Consultation Day for those of you who are aware. And the UN Orchestra is going to play a selection by Florence Price in order to commemorate UN Women at 10. It's the 10th anniversary. There's going to be a TikTok dance that is released in a couple of weeks that I encourage your club to try to participate in. It's really cute. It was devised by Korma, who is a Nigerian refugee in Minneapolis, and she did a special dance for UN Women at 10, and that's going to be circulated on TikTok.
Excellent. I'm going to move over to the chat here. There is a question. Does Zonta ever take a political stand on events? There has been conversation regarding the statement made about the January 6th at the Capitol.
Zonta is I believe, a conservative organization, and they are very careful about their political stances because they know that when you have an organization with 28,000 members, you have people on both sides. So Zonta takes a stance when it comes to human rights And that is always the singular message in support of human rights, particularly the rights of women, remembering that women's rights are human rights. But when it comes to the politics of sexual and reproductive health, Zonta is very careful not to offend our members on either side. And I respect the fact that Zonta is careful and very thoughtful in the way that they respond to international political events.
Excellent. A question regarding CSW. What sessions and discussions take place at the UN during CSW?
During CSW, at the UN, there are two types of events. You have the formal proceedings that take place with the heads of state, and then you have something called side events. And side events are the formal workshops that are hosted by member states. They run concurrent with parallel events, which are hosted by civil society, NGOs, CSW. So there are two events running parallel. One is formal by UN and the member states, and one is by NGOs. Zonta International will be hosting at least one parallel event for NGO CSW. It will be on girls' education with UNICEF, and they will be weaving our Madagascar project into it. I do not believe that we will be hosting a side event with any member state. In the past, we've hosted with Zambia and Niger on our girls project, early child marriage project in Niger. This year, because of the virtual nature, we will not. But we will be co-hosting a staged reading of the Pulitzer Prize winning play Ruined, which is, it's going to be in celebration of UN Women at 10, and it refers directly to the UN Security Council Resolution 1325 that looks at women, peace, and security. And Nita mentioned it briefly. That's one of the most important resolutions when it comes to women and what happens to women in war. And it speaks directly to rape being a weapon of war and how that has to change. So the play Ruined is about women in the Democratic Republic of the Congo during war and how their bodies were used and abused by soldiers and how it had to stop.
Pamela, may I ask a question?
Yes,
I could be wrong, but it sounds to me like, as you said, there's two parts to CSW.
that's correct.
For Zonta members, it sounds to me that it might be more beneficial to take part or see the videos on the side events as opposed to the more formal aspects on the other side. Am I?
The side events are the events that are hosted by the member states,
Mhm.
and they will be on Zoom. The formal will be on web TV.
Okay.
And then you have NGO CSW's parallel events. Now, what most people in civil society do is they sign up to be an advocate for NGO CSW, and they are then given access to the platform, and we're using the Pathable platform. And at that point, you have access to over 600 parallel events, as well as something that's called exhibition space, where organizations have space for advertisements and to educate people. And then additionally, there's something called Birds of a Feather, where you and I can have a short space, any one of you and I could have a short space where we can have a private conversation. And then there's going to be something that's called an artisan fair, where vendors from around the world, and I think at this point there are about 40 of them, will have their wares for sale, and you'll be able to order using your credit card, and they will ship the items to you directly.
Okay.
And it's
First-
overwhelming. I have to tell you, my first year of going to CSW, and Connie, you can probably agree with me, the first year, it is so overwhelming because you have so many workshops and you don't know a side event from a parallel event. And it is just incredible. Thank you,
First, do we
Jane.
have another question?
Yes.
I apologize. I was actually supposed to ask this early on, but I'll ask it now. So why should I attend CSW?
Connie, do you want to jump in? I see you're muted.
Yes, when I attended CSW, I was advocacy co-chair for D4, so I was lucky enough to get a pass to be in the UN building. And you don't know where to go first. There's women there from all over the world, and you get to sit in on workshops where you hear stuff that you usually only read about. And just to be there and soak up the atmosphere and get to meet people from other countries. And if you're at the outside events, the same things are going on. So if you get to go, it's a chance of a lifetime, I feel.
I
Pam?
agree with you. And it's almost addictive because to go into a building and hear all of the languages and to know that everyone is there for the same purpose, and that is to uplift the status of women. It's one of the most powerful events you can ever attend. If you are a womanist, if you are a feminist, if you care, it is indescribable.
I'm sorry, Pamela. Sheena, we don't have a time limit here, do we? If people want to stay on for questions. Urs, you have the list of questions. If anybody has to disappear, we will be posting some answers, but also this is being taped, so you can follow up afterwards. But if you want to stay online and you have questions, I'm willing to stay here. Pamela, do you have a date?
No, I'm single, no dates. Yeah,
There's
and
one-
Beth, I'm glad that you got your response. Excellent. It is a simple process.
Oh, I did it while you were speaking. It took 30 seconds. It was very simple.
Fantastic. Thank you.
Good. Urs?
There's a question on the chat. I think we could probably end off with maybe like one or two more questions. So somebody asked about the impact and the work to resolve environmental issues that are affecting women and children.
Fantastic question. The environmental issues greatly are impacted by climate change. And President Sharon has made climate change one of her leading focus points for this biennium. So Zonta is ramping up and preparing statements and looking at how to better serve our membership as well as humanity by supporting organizations and institutions that are working towards it. And for those of you who are in the United States, you know that our new president has decided to rejoin the Paris Agreement. So I am delighted.
Excellent. And maybe I'll just end with this one. How does CSW relate to Zonta International Service Projects?
Great question. The workshops that are hosted, the parallel events and side events that are hosted during CSW are all thematic. So the themes run from child marriage to violence against women, women's sexual and reproductive health, etc. And those same topics are the topics that our international service projects are hosted in. So you will be able to, for instance, if you are interested in gender-based violence, there may be 75 workshops to choose from. If you're interested in child marriage, there are going to be perhaps 50. There are so many workshops. And then, we have to remember intersectionality. So if a workshop is about poverty, It could also include child marriage. It could include gender-based violence, because we know that economics is tied very often to gender-based violence. So it's all very connected.
Great. I heard something on a question, somebody was or I saw it pop up, asking about, when they're looking at potential members, that they feel that being able to discuss or have something about the UN, would it be helpful, do you think, to have even just a one-pager? I was thinking, Lisa, the thing you did up on all the international programs, for instance, with the who, what, where, when, and how, and then perhaps just a photograph or something that the clubs could use. I know that we had at our club for a while, we had a package of information that we sent out to people. Well, of course, now we're doing everything digitally, but it is something that could be sent out to potential members to let them know. Do those of you who are here think that would be something that would, the committee could spend? Angie, I see you nodding right in the middle of the screen. It's okay. So I think that's something the committee can work on very easily, and we could have it on the site.
And Zonta International, don't forget, Zonta International has brochures. They have literature. Sometimes you don't have to recreate the wheel, and they have beautiful brochures, double pages on the international service projects.
Okay, I'll take a look at that. Are they digital? Absolutely. Okay, great.
The Civil Society Advocate, yes. Just go to the website. Beth just did it. She said it took about 30 seconds, right? You go to the website, you look for the tab that says NGO CSW Forum. Once you click on that tab, you go down and find Register as Advocate. And then once you click there, you just register. It sounds a lot more formal than it really is. So everyone that attends the NGO CSW Forum is considered to be an advocate.
Urs, do you have any other questions? Or
I think that looks like we've covered most of the questions.
okay.
And I'm always available. I'll put my email address in the chat. If anyone ever wants to have a conversation, learn more, see if I can find a resource for you, please don't hesitate.
Thank you very much, Pamela. And thank you very much for being with us tonight. You had very valuable input. I didn't have to answer any questions. I told you she was the pro. So in closing, thank you all for being here. And remember, this site was designed so that you can develop programs for your own club, but the committee is here to help you. We can help you build a presentation. We can Zoom with you with your clubs if you would like to have one or any of us talk at your meetings. We would be happy to do that. So if you have questions about the site, and we went a little quickly over things tonight, you can go to, like, if you go to the hover over the UN thing, you'll see that it has an email, and that email will come to me if you have questions or you want to talk about something. Please don't hesitate. That's what we're here for. Pamela, as she said to me the other day, I gave her a phone call and she picked up right away. I was surprised. I thought she was the busiest woman in the world, but she's let me know that this is basically a full-time job for her, which Sheena, I'm sure this is basically a full-time job for you as well. So I thank you both. Sheena, again, thank you for all your help. Pamela, thank you very much for being with us.
Absolutely.
And I hope that that you think we've done a good job with the site. We'd love to hear what you have to say. If you have any suggestions on things that we should change or add. As I said, it will always be a work in progress. And to my committee members, thank you. Good night, ladies. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you very much. It was a lovely to note everything. Yes, it was a lovely.
Thank you, Nita, for this lovely talk. Very informative.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good night, everyone.
Thank you.
Good
Good
night,
night.
ladies.
Good night.
Good night.